On Wednesday, during period 2, Ms. Jacob will be going through page 14 with you, the whole class. So if you wanted to wait for Ms. Jacob to explain page 14, then you can definitely stop this video. But if you want to kind of get a heads up on page 14, then continue watching this video. I'm not going to go through the whole page, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time explaining how to answer question 9 together. So number 9, determine the domain and range for each function. Let's take a look at this one here. F of x equals negative 3x plus 8. Now this is an example of a linear function. Why? Because the x doesn't have an exponent and it has a slope of negative 3 and it has a y-intercept of 8. We don't really need to know that. My main goal is to just identify that x has just an exponent of 1. In that case, our parent line looks like f of x equals x. So determine the domain and range for this diagonal line. Now, as soon as I see that it is a diagonal line, I can safely say that the domain will be xer, and the range would also be f of x er. Because it's a diagonal line, whatever diagonal lines this way or even a diagonal line that way, if it hit all the x's, it will also hit all the y's. So that one is a good one. There are 2 exceptions though for lines, and it is these 2 here. We have a vertical line that goes straight up and down. Now the equations of those lines would look sort of strange. It's not your y equals mx plus b. It would just be an x equals something. And if we zoom in here, our x value is 2, and that is the full equation of that line. It's strange, but we do need to be able to identify that x equal 2 is a vertical line. So what does that mean? How does that help us figure out the domain and range for this particular line? Now, the domain is going to be, what are the x values that this line could be? It's definitely never going to reach negative infinity or positive infinity. It's never actually going to even reach 1 or 2, or 3, I should say. It will be 2, but only 2 forever. So in that case, we write our domain like this. X can only equal 2. That's pretty simple, but that is literally all x can be. The range talks about what our possible y values are, and that could be anything. It can go down to negative infinity. Oops, I should write that this way. And it could reach positive infinity. So in terms of our range, that has no limit. So our range is y-er. I was going to write f of x er, but there's a problem with that function notation. Is this a function? It doesn't actually pass my vertical line test. So vertical lines are only relations. So for that reason, I'm not going to write f of x er, I'm just going to write y-er. We have another exception here. We have this horizontal line, and this horizontal line is crossing at y equals 3. So that is literally the equation of our line, y equals 3. Now, what's the domain? The domain talks about how left and right our x values can go. And in this case, it could reach negative infinity and positive infinity. And so here, x belongs to the set of all real numbers, and there are no limitations. Our range, though, is limited. Our range, our y values can only be 3 and nothing else. So y will only and forever be just 3. So those are the 2 exceptions of our line. So lines generally are super easy. It'll always, if it's a diagonal line, we can always safely say that domain is going to be xer and our range is going to be f of x er, except for these 2 situations.